such a body attack legend, such a good person. BEVAN James Eyles, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to have this conversation. I really appreciate it, man. No, before we start, this is I just want to say thank you because I'm it's, I don't know if the word is fan, but yeah, I mean,
thank you.
You and Lisa and also Romain from France.
Roman,
yeah. Were the ones that inspired me to become a body attack instructor. So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really great.
So
I'm sure you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you, man. When I started this project, my objective was to talk to people that I admire, that I look up to. And of course, when I was doing the list, I was like, BEVAN has to be on the list. No.
It's very kind, very kind.
Thank you, man. Oh, yeah, I want to talk about your journey through Les Mills, but also want to talk about your musical path per se, because I'm a musician myself, so I'm interested in that area of.
What do you play?
I play guitar, drums, and a little bit of piano. I don't consider myself to be a piano player, but what I want to ask you is, how did you and your band approach this album? How did you start to work on this album?
How did we start? Okay. So it was, we were basically just jamming a lot and not really doing much with it. And then we'd been jamming for a while and we'd written a couple songs but hadn't really taken it that serious. And then COVID struck and we thought to ourselves, we wanted to make an album, you know, like we actually wanted to do the work. And so we basically just, really, the process was just making sure you did the work. So we kind of did a project plan, you know, like we literally created a plan around, okay, well, here's the songs we've got to write, you know, and just kind of went through the project of making it happen. I think when it comes to creative people, we can be creative, but sometimes we don't actually get anything made. And so we wanted to make sure we got the process done. So it was a bit about that. And then the process of writing the songs was myself and it's a 3-piece band. So it's guitar, singer, myself on the keyboards, and then a drummer. So myself and the guitarist, we wrote all the songs. So, and it was very much a collaborative thing. It was kind of like, I just go, I think, okay, I'll be jamming around, I just find an idea that I like, and I go, okay, there's an idea. And then I'd send it to the guitarist, and he'd go, okay, we'll add this bit. And, you know, so we were just kind of collaborating a lot throughout the whole thing. And, yeah, and then you just kind of figure out songs, and then you get songs to a point where you're really happy with where they are, but you're just adding little tweaks and changes to it. But yeah, really, that was kind of the process. It was just kind of make sure you do the work and work well with the person you're collaborating with. And one rule we had was the music always wins. So it was never about ego, you know, because sometimes when you're in bands and stuff, it can be about ego. You're like, I want my idea to win over your idea. And what we always thought was what's best for the song. And that was kind of the thing that we determined. That was kind of how we went about it.
And who was in charge of the lyric process? The tree or
the guitarist wrote most of the songs. I wrote a couple myself, but he wrote most of the words. And I wrote one or two, but basically he did the majority of it.
I really enjoyed the album, but what I enjoyed the most are the most calm songs, the most softer kind of songs. So it was like the first. It was track 2 and 3 that I was like, man, this is really good. I mean, I like, of course, all the other tracks, but the slower tempo ones are the ones that I gravitate to.
Yeah, we like rock. You know, we are a rock band, and I often say like radio rock, kind of like Foo Fighter rock is kind of the level we aim for.
Okay.
Yeah, because the thing you're thinking about when you're trying to write an album is what's the live performance going to be like. because you want to have high energy and you want to create an experience that when people come to you live, that it's a really awesome experience. And so we're trying to get a mix of, good high energy, grunty songs, and then the slower songs that pull back that can kind of take you through that experience. And so we're trying to get that mix right, and the ones that are going to get people a bit more crazy and the ones that kind of pull back. So we're happy with it.
Okay.
You go.
You want to have like songs that make the crowd get a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
And
when you think about it, you think of a body attack class. It's kind of like you start a body attack class, you do a warm-up, which is kind of light and fun, and then you build to this crescendo of the first peak. And then you come down and you have a press up, and and then you build to the next crescendo. And I think, as a musician, you're trying to think of how do you take someone through an emotional experience. And if all our songs were slow, I don't think we'd be a very good live band. And so we wanted to be a band that could, ultimately, that when people come to us live, they're like, wow, what an experience. But it's a bit like that body attack experience. You start off with your big, strong songs, and then you pull back and you have an easier, kind of lighter song. And I just think that you are trying to think of the overall experience that you're trying to take people through, particularly when you're playing live. And obviously the album determines that. And we had our album release party a few weeks ago, and everyone got up dancing, everyone, like the floor was packed, and it was kind of cool to see them go through the different journeys of each song. So yeah, it was quite cool.
Wow. I saw that you had your launch party, and I'm happy it did very well.
Yeah.
And also I'm curious.
It was pretty cool.
I'm curious to know what are your musical influences?
I think it's a foundation of rock. I've always liked, I was brought up in the 90s, so when like Nirvana and that, those kind of bands were kind of my first big bands. I'm the guy who likes most music. There's not much music I won't like. I definitely love lyrics. I appreciate someone who can write lyrics that have a deeper meaning. When I was younger, I used to love Ben Harper a lot. Johnny Cash, I love his words. I love Johnny people Cash. That explore the darker side of life a little bit as well. Like, as much as I'm a really happy person, I like exploring that side of things. But then again, also when I was a teenager, I was really into my rap music as well. But nowadays, I tend to listen to the majority of music I listen to will be more of that rock based.
Rock-based.
I do like a rock song. Yeah.
And did you find those influences come across like you wanted in your record, in your own band record?
I don't consider myself a great musician. I learnt piano as an adult, and so I'm not. The way I write a song and creating the music for a song is very much I'll start with a jamming session. So I never really think I want to sound like this thing, because I don't know if I have the skill base to do that. I really even in my head, I'll think of a sound or a riff or something, and then I'll just get on the piano and try to figure out how to play it. Or the guy who I write the songs with, he'll send me something, and then I'll listen to it, and I'll just kind of think of what I can add to it. And so I'm never really going, I want to sound like this sound here. It's more I'm just trying to problem solve based on what's in my head. And and then you'll be playing around with it, and then you'll kind of go, oh, that's it, that's what I want. And so for me, it's because I'm not the greatest musician. It's very much just me problem solving what's in my head, if you get what I mean. Like it's yeah. Like whereas a lot of musicians, if like I know guys who are really great musicians, and they could just kind of design a song based on their knowledge or by listening. They go, I want to sound like the Foo Fighters, and they'll write a song just like the Foo Fighters. Whereas I'm not really like that, because I literally will I'll just be playing around, jamming it out, and there'll be a bit that I go, oh, that sounds really cool, and I'll pick up my phone and I'll record it, and then I'll think if I can grow that from that point forward. I do try to make it interesting. So some songs we use pretty basic chord structures, but I like throwing some different chord structures that kind of add a bit more to a song. Even just for some sevenths and ninths and stuff like that. Just adding it so it's, or not necessarily sticking to the rules of music in a way. I try to do stuff that's a little bit different.
So do you write music from a music theory point of view, or?
Yeah, what's really interesting is that because I've learned piano, you do learn theory, and a lot of musicians like. Do you know theory? Do you know your theory?
No, I'm more like a feeling musician. I
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
admit that.
and yeah, and so like Dave, the guy in my band who I write songs with, he's like you, so he doesn't really know his theory, but he's a much better musician than I am. He's a very talented musician, but it works quite well because I will come to it with a theory kind of thing. Like I'll kind of go, okay, well, based on what I know about chords and stuff, and so it works quite well as a team because he's got more of just an ear and a bit like you, whereas I will come from a bit more of a theory base. But together as a group, together it seems to work. Yeah.
Oh. And have you ever tried to noodle a little on the guitar or on the drums?
Yeah, I can play guitar. I can play. Yeah, I can play basic guitar. Like I'm no rock star. I can play the basic chords and stuff. I actually played guitar when I was a teenager for a few years, not too seriously, just kind of like for fun. And yeah, and then I just got into my fitness and music fell away. And then in my late 20s, I just wanted to get back into music. So that's when I started playing. And when I learned piano, I did want to learn, when I started getting back into music, I did want to learn my theory because I just think it's nice to have that base understanding. And so that's why I did piano, because piano, you kind of learn your theory with piano. And piano is a really good instrument, a bit like guitar. It's a really good instrument to write music on because you've basically got the whole scale of sound on your keyboard, so you can just do so much. And also, I've got a very good keyboard, so I've got lots of sound choices that you can make. So yeah, it's really interesting. It's an interesting process. But I far from think I'm an amazing pianist or even a creator. But I think the thing I'm proud of is that even though I'm not the greatest musician, I still will do the work, and I still, I'll be the guy who gets the album out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, you feel proud. I mean, I feel you sure feel proud about the idea that you came from. I mean, if you feel proud and you feel accomplished.
Yeah, totally. Like to think that I've done an album. Yeah, it's so cool because we are trying to do something with this album, but even if we don't, you've still got this record of this creativity that you've done. Because you know what it's like for music. Music's fun by yourself, but when you add people, music is so much better. When you're playing with other people and you're jamming, and it's another language, and it's so special.
Yeah, for sure. And what I like when that happens is that everybody likes different type of music. Everybody brings something new to the table, or something different to the table, and that's when I feel the more interesting.
The thing I like about it as well is that. Oh, sorry. Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I like about it as well, because I teach fitness, as you know, I've taught fitness for years and years and years. And I'm very comfortable in front of a group of people teaching fitness. And I do public speaking, so I'm always in front of people and I'm very comfortable. But as a musician, I wasn't comfortable. And when I started playing live, I was actually very uncomfortable and I was very insecure and quite vulnerable and quite scared. And I hadn't had that experience in years because I spent so much time in front of people. And I also know that I want to have an amazing stage presence. I want to be a performer, who when people watch me on stage, are like, wow, this guy's got something pretty crazy going. And so it's been a really cool challenge for me. Yeah, it's been a really cool challenge for me to evolve into being a stage performer as a musician because it was something that was really challenging. And the funny thing is with keyboard, you're also stuck to your instrument. So it's a hard instrument to be really expressive with because it's not like you can run around the stage and, dance and stuff. But I've really enjoyed that process of becoming an entertaining live performer.
Yeah. And I know you just released a new record, but do you plan on experimenting a little bit with your sound on future record albums of your band?
Yeah, I think we will. Yeah, we've actually written about 5 new songs, and they're still our rock base, but they're definitely going in a slightly different direction. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, it's been quite fun working on the new stuff. So yeah, you're just trying to evolve, aren't you?
Yeah, because
have you written songs yourself?
I have not something like for an album or something, but I like music that is very cinematic, but also very heavy music, very heavy music.
Yeah, I hear
I
you.
like from acoustic folk, from pop
Yep.
to extreme metal.
Yeah, nice.
But what I personally like to write is the slower, slower, that emotion, softer kind of music. I don't know why. Because I like heavy music, and I like
Yeah.
to incorporate that in my writing. But I just end up with very calm music. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like one thing I like using when we're drafting a song, like when we're kind of, because often we'll just kind of throw ideas at each other, and the one thing I like to do is I like to go for a run, and I try to do a hard run with music, because to me, the if I'm working out at a really hard level, a great song will take me to another place. Whereas if a song doesn't have that magic, I just I just there's an honesty when I'm exercising hard that reveals if a song is good to me, because if it's a good song, it will pull me through in that moment, and if it's not a good song, it doesn't have the ability to pull me through. And I think that's that emotional connection that music can have, is that when you're feeling the physical emotion to a song. It's a pretty powerful thing. And I try to use that as a gauge. So again, as we're writing songs, I'll go for a run, I'll go listen to it, and I'll try to do some hard running, and it's like, this isn't working for me. It's not getting me to want to go to a harder place. And yeah, so it's an interesting kind of way to process if a song works for you.
It's kind of like you said on Mix 62 in the running track, I remember, because you were the one that presented
Yeah.
that track, and you were like, I listened to this
It was
music,
a
to
long
this
time.
track. I was running, and it took me to another place, and that quote stuck with me. I mean, it's quite an old release, but that quote stuck with me.
Yeah.
I
And I
mean,
believe that too. I kind of, you know, I love the idea in life of emotional states. And that kind of that place you take yourself to, where, and many different types of emotion. And to me, one of the greatest things is music. Because music does trigger emotion, but then how do you even enhance that more? So that's that running thing for me. If I'm running in beautiful nature at a high intensity, and then I've got music in place, I'm just feeling this emotional state that's really overwhelming, and really I feel just so alive. And it's like the live performance stuff, like when you go to a good live band, what they do is they just make you feel alive. They draw you into this kind of emotional thing. And it's something I think about in the way I try to live my life, is that whatever I'm trying to do, I'm trying to go to this really deep emotional place. And so through music, through exercise, and through other hobbies, it's a really interesting way to think about how to live life, and how do you actually consciously create that for yourself. And that's something. Yeah, it's a way I think about living life.
yeah, I mean, for me, music always has been like my go-to. Honestly, like I always have music. Always. It's basically the soundtrack of my life. There's always a song, an album that can describe the way you're feeling at the moment. And I don't know, music, basically for me, music and actually Body Attack has helped me through very tough moments in my life.
And what's nice about both of those things are they are both really healthy ways to work through tough moments. Like if you've got a tough moment and you listen to some music to help yourself through that, or play some music to help yourself through that, or you're having a tough moment and you do like a Body Attack workout or an exercise workout, unfortunately, a lot of people, when they have tough moments, they'll do drugs, they'll do alcohol, they'll disconnect with the people in their world. So the tough moment actually makes their life worse. Whereas, what you're talking about here is that when you have a tough moment, you go to music, you go to fitness, and it's still a tough moment, but it's a really healthy way to deal with it. And those are really good tools to have in your life.
And have you ever wondered why people choose such wrong ways of dealing with that, like drugs or alcohol? And
I think it's partly to do with what they just do at the start. I think when you're young and you know, you're a teenager and stuff, you're just kind of exploring stuff. And then when life gets tough, I think it's partly because that's the only option they see.
Okay.
You know, like when life gets tough, it's like, I just need a drink to get through this. Or I just need to smoke some dope to get through this. Or, you know, it's like, this is the only way through, is this option that I have in front of me. And whereas people like ourselves, is that we've learned that actually when I feel this way, I'm much better off to go, I need to go do some exercise, or I need to go play some music. And we've just learned that it's actually better if I use these ways of dealing with my tough times. And whereas, you know, food's another example. A lot of people have weight problems because when they're stressed, they eat. You know, and so I always think that one thing we've got to be developing in ourselves is the ability to understand when I'm stressed, and then understand how to consciously put healthy tools in place. So instead of using food or alcohol or drugs or disconnecting with people, it's, okay, I'm feeling stressed right now, I'm going to go for a walk. Or I'm feeling stressed right now, I'm going to pick up my guitar and just go jam for half an hour. Or I'm going to ring my best mate and have a really, just going to talk through what I'm going through. And it's that understanding of how to avoid the things that make it worse, and actually, but I think for a lot of people that's a trained behavior. Like it's something that you actually need to train and understand, especially if you do have habits like those ones that are making your life more negative.
Yeah, because I mean, I find it weird that most of the people tend to gravitate to those solutions. Like, for example, when you were talking about your album, a little flashback. And have you ever wondered why on the, like, music trending, I don't know, the hot list per se, there's always, most of the time, shallow music?
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to, my intention is not to talk about, in a bad way, about people who like that music, for example. But I find it interesting that most of the artists that are on the hot list are music with no message, shallow music, and I don't know why, because there's such quality music out there, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, you can like that, that's fine, but you can also search for something that enrich your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? What people connect with is a really interesting thing to think about, isn't it? It's that why you connect with things at certain times as well. Like, you know, because like for people like us, music kind of defines us. You know, like I remember reading an article when they're talking about on Spotify, they've discovered, because it's so much data driven now, that most people end up, once they hit 30, they kind of just listen to the same music for the rest of their life. You know, they might occasionally add new music, but they basically listen to the music that they listened to in their teens and their 20s. Whereas myself, I'm always trying to find new music. Like, I'm always listening to new music because I just love that discovery of new music. And so I think for some people, you know, for people like us who just love music, there's always this kind of seeking for more and seeking for higher. Whereas maybe for some people it is just that music's something that's kind of a part of their life, but it's not something they necessarily seek as much as maybe people like us do. I'm not sure. It's a really interesting thing to explore.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense. If music, maybe for them, music is just watching a movie, that I'm watching a movie for entertainment and that's it, not for the message, not for something deeper.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like it's
interesting, isn't it?
It's kind of the people who come to maybe body attack class, that they're doing it for the wrong reasons. I mean, the wrong reasons maybe because I feel forced, or I have to do something in the gym, and they're not enjoying it. So I mean, if you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a why you're doing it, then I don't think it's helping you at all.
Yeah. I think there's scales, isn't there? You know, because you think of some people who just go to the class because it's a box to tick that day. You know, for some people it is just, you know, I need to do 3 exercise sessions a week and this is an easy way for me to fit it in. And then you get the person who just like is absolutely in love with it, you know, like, you know, your hardcore class fans, you know, and I suppose there's a spectrum of people who sit in between all of those things, really, isn't it? And the most important things that we need to think of as a fitness instructor is that no matter who's in front of us, is that we're delivering a really awesome experience. Yeah, and that's why that's what I like teaching fitness, because my three passions in life are fitness, people, and music. Okay. So music, I play music, I'm in a band. People, I've always loved people. I've always been a people person. I love being around people. I just enjoy that company. And then fitness. And so fitness is all three of those things. You're teaching fitness to music with people. You know, and we talk about emotion. Like when you're teaching a body attack class and you're in that peak track, and you're absolutely, you know, you're just expressing yourself in the most extreme way possible, and those people in front of you are feeling that way as well, and you're connected with the music. It's like, you know, going back to that kind of thing about the state that we live in, you know, it's such a rewarding emotional state. And, you know, the cool thing about our job is that we get to create that for people. Is it's, you know, it's not just, hey, come and sit on a bike for half an hour and turn your legs over. We're actually taking them through an emotional experience. And I always see it as my job is how do I deepen that experience as much as possible through the things that I do for the people.
And you were talking about connection. I wonder, how do you prepare before teaching a body attack class? How do you get in that mindset of, I don't know, I really believe you're one of a kind. And
oh, thank you. That's very kind.
Because, I mean, when your track comes on the master class, you know you're in for a treat, because you combine power, explosivity, and humor so well. And I'm like, how does he do it? And how do you prepare before teaching a body attack class or master class? How do you get in that zone to project connectivity, positivity, power?
So on a master, I'll talk about it in two ways, because in a master class, I do a lot of prep. So in a master class, you'll be, I would have probably spent, let's say I'm there, let's say I do 3 tracks, I've probably spent about 40 hours practicing those tracks.
4 hours?
For a master class. 40.
40, oh my God.
Yeah, for a master class, because the master classes are so important because they're going around to everyone around the world. And it's, you know, you're trying to represent the business at the highest level. You're trying to inspire instructors. You're trying to also make sure you're teaching in the way that the business wants you to teach. But also what you've got to do is you've got to keep your own personality in there as well. So I do a lot of prep when it comes to a masterclass. I get my script in place. I'll practice it over and over and over and over again. Like literally, I'll stand in front of the mirror for like 2 hours just doing the same song over and over again. But what you're trying to do in a masterclass is you've got to be a really great role model, but you've also got to show your own personality. And like when I first started doing masterclasses, I got lost because I was too busy trying to do the role model stuff that I kind of got a little bit lost about, well, who am I in this? And then eventually I figured out that actually you've still got to do all the job stuff well, so like the scripting and what you say and all the coaching language and those types of things. But then you need to keep your personality in it. And luckily for me, my personality just sits aligned with body attack. You know, like I like having fun. You know, I've always been the clown. You know, like one of my favorite lines is, one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite words from a song that I always identified with was a song by the Counting Crows, and the singer said, "We can't all be cowboys. Some of us are clowns." And as soon as I heard that, I thought, that's so me. You know, I'm not a cowboy. I'm a clown. I'm an idiot. You know, and I'm happy to be that. And I like being fun, and I like being silly, and you know, and so, but also I love hard work. You know, I love intensity. I just love that chase of that hard work. And so I'm very lucky that in this program, it's very much aligned to who I am as a person. So when I'm doing a masterclass, it's very much, I want to make sure I do a really high level job of being a role model and doing the job well, but also for people to see that it's a true representation of who I am as well. And so your very kind words before, that's, it shows me that I'm getting that right, because, there's that kind of, it's fun, but it's also powerful and explosive, and that's what I'm trying to aim for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's a coincidence that you get most of the time track 9 or track 4 in masterclass. I don't think it's a coincidence.
No, yeah. I remember Mid Thomas. Do you know Mid Thomas? Mid Thomas, she's done some Pump DVD. She did an Attack DVD a while ago. She's a bit of a legend. And she said, when it comes to intensity, the people want to see you bleed. Like it's that thing of, when you see me doing a track 9 at the end of the track, I am giving every part of myself to that moment. Like there's nothing I'm not giving. And we want to see that in our role models. We want to see people who are just willing to go to a place which just seems like, oh my God, this is crazy. And, you see me at the end of those tracks and I'm bent over and I'm dying. But that's what people want from me. And so I always think, well, that's my job, to be fit enough to get there. But also when I get to that moment is just to let go and go. So it's interesting. But going back to your question, when it comes to, so that's the masterclass. When it comes to my everyday classes, because my everyday classes aren't like a masterclass, they're a different type of version. But it's a similar thing. I believe exercise, even hard exercise, is more achievable if it's fun. And so that's what's so great about Body Attack, because it's a hard workout. But if you have those moments where it's fun, you kind of forget how hard you're working. And so, like in my own classes, we do lots of silly things, there's lots of laughs, there's lots of noise, there's, everyone's clapping, like it's a big party. But then when it's time to work, we go there. And I think that's the real key.
To find the moments where it's time to explode, or when it's time to joke around, when it's time to chill. Yeah, so Vivian, and how do you, I know from what you're saying me that your mentality when it comes to a masterclass is just giving your all, giving every part of you to the track, to the masterclass. Yeah. But I had the opportunity also to talk to, I don't know if you know her, Kaylee Jack from...
Yeah, I know Kaylee, yeah.
Kaylee. And what I want to also ask the fitness people that I talk to is that when you have a bad day, a bad moment, how do you, maybe it's not a good day, you had problems, issues, how do you put that aside and just give it all for the team, for the video, for yourself?
Yeah, when it comes to videos, I've done them so long now, I don't really have hard days on videos. I kind of know the process. But in my everyday classes, I go back to that thing of people need me to bring something great to their life. Like a lot of people, they come to the gym, they've had a tired day, it's been a hard, like people lead busy lives. And so I want my experience to be a highlight of their day. And so it's partly about just being able to switch your mind onto that job. I have a saying that we should be like their dog. And what I mean by that is that, one of the main reasons people love dogs is because your dog's always happy to see you. Yeah. Like your dog loves seeing you. And so I want people, when they come into my world, to go, oh my God, I've made the best decision of my day. And so even if I'm feeling a crap day myself, I just know when I walk in that room, hey everyone, I'm bringing the energy, I'm making people feel special, and it's just, I'm using tools and strategies to create an atmosphere and a sense that when people come in this room, they go, I've made the right decision. And so even if I'm feeling crap, I just remind myself that, what, my job is to make these people's day great today. Now, admittedly, when you teach group fit, you're only there for an hour, so it's not like you're there for 10 hours and it's hard. So it's you can always get through an hour. And so for me, it's just put that focus on them and think about, it's that whole thing of when they turn up and as they leave, do they think, man, that was a good choice in my day? And I'm trying to do everything possible to make them think, yes, that was the best choice I could make today. And it's right down, it's even before I teach a class. Like when I walk in my studio, we've got a big studio where I teach, we can get 150 people in the room.
Wow.
I walk in and I'm like, hey everyone, and I announce myself there and I put awesome music on and it's heaps of fun and I create a real awesome atmosphere because I want them to think, man, I made the right choice. You know, and then when I take them into the workout, yeah, you know, and that's that thing of, you know, that's what you're trying to do is deliver on the choice. So even if I am feeling like a crap day, it's like my job is to make these people have an amazing experience. And as long as I put my focus on that, and when you do that, the thing is, even if you're having a crap day, if you do that, you kind of forget about your crap day because it's more enjoyable for me, you know.
So what you're saying is that when you walk through the door to teach a class, give everything, leave what they have, maybe their problems behind, and to enjoy this hour. And
I read a really interesting book recently. Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I read a really interesting book recently, and it was kind of about how to deal with anxiety in your head. And one thing they talked about is that one of the things we need to remove anxiety or to remove kind of rumination in your head is you need to create distance. And that's this kind of idea of you need to get out of your head a little bit. And so things like doing a fitness workout where you've got an instructor in front of you who's, you know, making it fun, making you have a laugh, pushing you hard, what that does is it gets you out of your head for a moment. And that's actually a really healthy thing for mental health. So, you know, if I can create that environment for people, like that's pretty cool. And it's, you know, that's what I want to do.
If maybe it's the only positive thing they have on their day, maybe. Yeah. Or it's just one of the many possible things that they have on their day.
Well, that's what I think about, is because I think that we're very lucky in exercise is we are often the highlight of somebody's day. You know, like, you know, when you think of in an everyday person's day, doing exercise is a real cool moment in their day. And if we can create a better experience, like, how amazing is that? And like to think that I'm lucky enough to be the person who gets to be the highlight in somebody's day, like, the thing is, you've got to respect that. And I think that I've always understood that. Like even being on the DVDs, I've never been slack. I've always turned up fit. I've never, you know, I don't think I've ever done a bad job on a DVD, but it's because I've always done the work. Like I've never got to a DVD and thought, oh, this time I won't do as much work. If anything, I do more work the more I do it. And the reason is that there's so many instructors around the world who would love to have this opportunity, and I'm the guy who gets the opportunity. And so I've got to make sure I respect that opportunity. And respecting it means you do the work to deliver on the day. And also in my everyday class, like people give up their time to come to my class. I've got to make sure I do the work and bring the experience that respects that opportunity they've given me. And if I do that well, they're going to want to come back. And so it helps to create a better experience anyway.
So you feel blessed for the opportunity you have, and therefore you're going to deliver like this maximum experience.
Like people give up an hour in their day to be with me.
Yeah.
Like, well, I need to respect that. That's pretty important.
That's why I always try to, even if I have a hard day at work or family issues or something, I try to leave that at the door and say, this is the time for people to enjoy this moment of their day, and also myself, and I can also enjoy this moment, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting. I wrote a book that came out this year, and it was a very stressful time leading into the book. Getting released. So like it was just a lot of work, and I was working a lot, and I go teach every day, and it was like there was a relief, you know, because I was like, you know, as much as I was being there for other people, it was also really good for me. And it's to remind yourself of that as well. It's that actually I'm helping other people have a better day, but actually it's also good for my day, you know, and that's a really important thing to remember.
Yeah. Also, do you have like a quote or a philosophy that you might want to share? I don't know, like a BEVAN James Eyles quote that you maybe about your experience.
I have a quote that I think about a lot, and it's that when people spend time with me, they'll feel life is better.
When people spend time with me,
they'll feel life is better. And it's this kind of thing of what I bring to the world makes people's lives better. And that can mean many things. It can mean that they just feel good about themselves. It can mean that I've given them some confidence. It can mean that I've just had a laugh. But it's just that kind of, when you spend time with me in your life, you're going to walk away from that thinking life is a good thing. You know, and it's kind of a philosophy I try to live by. So like I'll never gossip about somebody. If I've got problems with people, I'll just talk to them about it. I won't criticize them behind their back. I try to help people see the higher versions of themselves. It's this kind of thing of, if I'm in your world, the moment you leave, you're going to feel better about life. And that's something that's really important to me. It's kind of philosophy I try to live by.
So basically good habits create a worth living life.
Yeah.
And also you can look... You can look back and say, maybe I did something wrong, but I learned from that, and I'm trying to be better every day.
Well, it's interesting how, you know, when you think about life, and all of us have our story, and all of us, there's been people in our life who have massively impacted our lives. And you know, like all of us, I can think of like 3 or 4 people right now who just at certain moments in my life said something or backed me or encouraged me or just, and there are only small moments in that person's life. You know, and that person, that was literally like, you know, a millionth of their life, but it massively impacted me, you know, and it's like, we all have the ability to give that to other people. You know, like words are a powerful thing. Like I remember one time years ago, somebody came to my class. They're from overseas and they came to my class. And after class, I said something to them. I can't remember. And then 4 years later, they came back to my class and I said, Bevan, that thing you said to me changed my life. You know, and after that class, they went and changed your whole life. Now, I can't remember what I said to them, but we all have the ability to have that impact on people. You know, we have the ability to say something really, you know, like to turn around and say to someone, you know, I think you're really great at this thing. Or, you know, I love the way you do this. Or, you know, and it's you know, like it's, if we can consciously inject more of that in our life, imagine the impact we can have on other people's lives.
Yeah. But I don't think people realize that actions or even words have such a big impact. I don't think all... Yeah. And
they
we're
really do. Like, they really do.
And that story that you said really struck me because I remember like short periods of time when somebody said something, did something very, very small and had a huge impact. Yeah. And like, I go back to the beginning. I know you from master classes. I don't know you like in person, but through master classes, you really had helped me a lot to inspire, to lead, to become an instructor. So, yeah, I mean, words and actions have a big impact.
Well, and I think one thing that's really important for instructors to remember is we forget how much respect we get, because most people struggle with exercise and most people would never want to do public speaking. And our job is to do exercise while we're public speaking. And so people put us up on a pedestal. Like people think, you know, oh my God, this person's so fit, or they're so good in front of the crowd and so on. Now, the thing is, we don't actually find it that hard. You know, like we make it hard. We enjoy the hard workout, but I don't find it, to get up and stand in front of a group of people and teach exercise, I don't actually find it that hard. I've done it for years. But people give us a lot of respect for that reason. And I've always thought to myself, well, how do I want to use that respect that I get? You know, how do I want to use that in a really powerful way? So like if someone looks up to me and like, you know, you've been very kind to me today. So if I can give you some really positive affirmation back, you know, like that's a really cool way to use that influence. And so I just think, you know, it's the kind of that responsibility thing, isn't it? You've been given this opportunity to be an influence in your community. How do you use it in ways that actually makes your community even more healthier?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's exciting.
I just wanted to ask you if we're, how are you on time? If you're...
Maybe 5 more minutes, maybe 5, 6 minutes. I could probably do 10 more minutes.
Okay, perfect. Because, I mean, there's so much topics that I want to talk about. For example, I don't know if you can dive in a little bit about why did you choose Les Miles, or how did you start on Les Miles?
It's a funny story, actually. I was a rugby league player. I don't know if you know the rugby league, but rugby league's kind of like rugby, but it's slightly different. And I just joined the gym to get bigger to play rugby league. It's quite a physical contact sport. And while I was doing that, a friend of mine started saying, I was just doing weights, and a friend of mine said, why don't you come do some classes? So we started doing some classes, and at first I was just doing like a circuit class, which is kind of like grit. And then he said, come to this body attack class. And I went into this body attack class, and I instantly fell in love with it. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And at that time I was at university studying law and politics. And I went into the module, and I actually failed my first module. There you go. There's an interesting story. So I failed the module, but I was determined. And so I went back and I redid the module, and I ended up passing the module. And from that moment forward, I knew my life was all about this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you entered your first body attack class, and then you went, not right away, but how long after you entered body attack that you did the module?
It was probably about 8 months. I think I joined as a member in 2008, and I became an instructor. So probably about 8 months, 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah.
Do you remember what release was it?
Yeah, 24. My song on my module was "Get
20?
Down, Get Out, Shake Your Body Down to the Ground." I remember that.
Oh my! I started on what was it? 83.
Oh wow! Was I on that one? I can't remember. There's a lot. I
Yeah,
don't know which ones I've been on.
Yeah, I do because I did my research prior to this talk, and you were on the 83. You presented a song called Laila.
Oh, Layla. Oh, okay, that was a good
Layla.
one. Yeah, that was good. That was a good song. Yeah.
And man, when I did that, it was my first body attack class. I did 83. That track was full of lunges, and I was like, what is this? And also, the moment I was like really, really impressed was on release 89 that you presented. I always search body attack sizzlers on YouTube, so
Oh, okay.
you presented track 9, Viva la Hardcore.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember that one. Yeah. Was that in Sweden? Was that in a big crowd?
No, that was 92.
Oh, okay. There you go. So you know more than I do.
I'm not trying to to sound like a body attack geek, but
Hey, I love it.
I really like body attack, man. I really do, and it has saved me a lot of time. So I did my research, and yeah, you presented.
What's your favorite release?
My favorite release, I gotta give it to. Oh man,
Yeah, it is tough.
102.
Okay, nice.
Because for me, I have my reasons. That was the first time a warm-up had jumping jacks.
Oh, okay, yep.
Track 3, that was the first time he had like a different moves.
Yep.
Track 4 was the first time that lunges were faster in tempo.
Yep.
Track 7 also was quite different from the rest of them. And track 9 with 16 burpees in the middle.
That's right.
And I mean that, and also because I got certified with 102, so
Oh, okay. There you go.
it
Yep.
it kind of has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, for sure. Of course it does.
Do you have a favorite Body Attack release?
Yeah, I probably have two favorites. Body Attack 100, just because it was such a special thing. And it's also a great release. It's a great release. It's, you know, from start to finish, it's not a bad song, and they're all great songs. And the choreo is really great. So 100 was... Track 9 is just... Yeah, it's just killer. Awesome, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. And then and the experience, filming 100 was the highlight of my career, and nothing will beat it. Like, it was just absolutely special. And then, but even my first DVD, 39.
39?
Was my first DVD, my first filming. You know, that was pretty special, because it just, you know, being on DVD, and it had How Much Is the Fish, which was a great song. I haven't taught that in years, but that was a great song and a really cool choreo. That was a pretty cool. It was actually quite a good release as well, but just because it was my first DVD, that'd be my two faves, you know, of all time. But the thing is, Lisa does such a great job, because she always puts out good releases. She evolves the program really well, like it's always evolving. She understands what the program is about, the core of the program, that it's a fun, hard, connecting workout. You know, that's all Body Attack is. It's people, fun, and hard. You know, and she just understands it to a core, and it's just always, even if there might be the odd song you don't like, but fundamentally every release is pretty good.
Yeah. So, how do you have like a limit of all releases? You don't put. Do
you know what? I don't teach old classes that often. What I'll do is once every 3 months, I'll do an old school release week.
Oh, awesome.
But I actually like to be current. So I tend to teach within the last 10 releases, 10, 15 releases.
10, 15 releases.
I just think it's important to be current, because I think what a lot of instructors do is they just end up teaching the same old stuff all the time. And so for me, and I think it's also important as you age in the industry, is to make sure you stay current. So I pretty much always just teach new stuff, except for 1 week every 3 months, I'll do like an old school week, and I'll go really old school, and the class loves it. And, you bring out all the classics. But I basically stay within the latest 15 releases.
And is there a reason for it? Maybe it's harder than new releases, because I
just think it's important. I just think it's important that you stay current to the program. And I think when you do old releases all the time, you go back and do some of the old releases. They're not even. It's way harder nowadays. The workout's way harder. Yeah. And also, your job is to create new memories. So when you're doing old school classes all the time, the classes like it, but when I get a new release, like, what memories can I create with this? Like what are the new bits and the fun bits that we had? And it's all that kind of stuff. So and I just think I never want to be stale as an instructor. And if I keep current, I'll never be stale.
Okay. I mean, I remember when I was a Body Attack student per se. I miss doing Laila sometimes because it's such an awesome song. But for me, I like the new releases because they're a little bit harder. So I like explosive workouts. So it suits with me. It suits with me better. So
I'm with you. Anyway, I'll probably have to go now. So do you want to wrap things up?
Just that today's guest was such a Body Attack legend, such a good person. BEVAN James Eyles, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to have this conversation. I really appreciate it, man. I also really, really enjoy what we talk about here. So I look forward to having another chat with you, man.
Awesome, mate. Well, keep up the good work, and I love your passion, and I'm sure you're doing really important work for your community. So keep attacking, keep keeping people fit, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, BEVAN. Catch you next time.
Okay, mate. I'll see you later.
See you later.
Bye.